care of the child. After in 2020, the Ministry of Education and Culture, Mr. Nadhifatul Makarim, issued a policy in the education sector, namely changing the learning system, which initially implemented face-to-face system to online learning as a form of effort to reduce the spread of COVID-19. For about 2 years, education was carried out online, resulting in students becoming less controlled in the field of character by educators. A study conducted concluded that there had been a degradation of children's morale during the pandemic, coupled with technological advances that increasingly make humans able to do anything, anywhere, and anytime. So, laziness arises, decreased social awareness, lack of courtesy to teachers. Even when learning is online, there are students who only answer the teacher greeting and then left their gadget without paying attention to the teacher explanation. So that when face-to-face learning began to reinforce, students were still carried away by these bad morals. The problem solution offered by me is that as educators, we motivate the students before starting learning, and then instilling good character toward habits such as the habit of shaking hands in the morning, the habit of reading books, so that children are not lazy. Then the second problems is regarding the psychological condition of children. During a pandemic, children only meet or socialize with their close family. In learning after pandemic, face-to-face learning, at the time, of course, children will socialize with more people, with teachers, with peers, or with school members. Many students are still in the adjustment stage of their psychological aspect to the new environment, so that children become less optimal in participating in classroom learning because they focus more on aspect of their psychological adjustment. And the solution that we can given by us as educator is creating a comfortable classroom atmosphere or learning environment, and also supporting children to be able to socialize easily, so that children become comfortable when studying in class and their psychological condition can remain stable. And the third problem is regarding learning hours which are still at the adjustment stage. During the pandemic, learning hours were condensed or short with condensed hour but fixed subject matter. It results in less absorption of online learning. After returning to face-to-face learning hours sometimes change frequently because they are still in the adjustment stage. So maybe in the first week to the face-to-face meeting is 30 minutes. Then in second week it is 40 minutes. And if the spread rate increases, of course, the learning hours will be even more condensed. The erratic learning hours are conditional, so it is where the educators who initially have prepared learning plans with a few minutes of time allocation will have to rethink about the distribution of the time when the learning hour changes. The solution is to apply the right strategy in media so that the teacher does not need a give explanation to the child. And then second solution is by utilizing ICT-based media. For example, students are asked to watch the YouTube videos about the material to be studied, or the teacher give ebooks to students to read first. When face-to-face only review and ask question about material that is not understood. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Shofia Zalfa, and today I will explain about the problems of teaching in post-pandemic era. So, the first problem that I found is the lack of motivation students to learn. Education is one of the sectors affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. During the pandemic, schools are still required to carry out learning to students optimally. One of the learning problems that students often complain about is that students quickly feel bored and have not been able to understand the relationship between the knowledge being studied and the context of everyday life. This is because the learning activities carried out in the classroom are monotonous and learning is carried out remotely or online. When the teaching and learning process in class is carried out with the lecture method followed by doing practice questions, then this is what makes students feel bored quickly, so that their learning motivation decreases. Innovation in learning is very important to achieve the goal. By using an active, effective, and efficient learning model, ideas actions that are considered new in particular field to solve existing problems. Classroom management is one of the important factors to achieve effective learning. Classroom management makes students motivated in their learning. Therefore, teacher innovation is needed in classroom management. Therefore, the teacher is the key to success in the world of education for every student. And then, how about innovation of learning made by a teacher to increase student learning motivation? So here we go. The first one is creating active and fun learning. Teachers need to create a pleasant classroom atmosphere so that students don't feel burdened. However, it will be even better if the teacher also delivered the material with interactive learning methods based on specialization, because each student has different interests, talents, and abilities. And the second one is build good interpersonal relationship between teachers and students. An interpersonal relationship is a condition in which a person communicates with other people, but the most important thing here is not only conveying what is meant to be conveyed, but also determining the level of interpersonal relationships. Therefore, the interpersonal relationship between teachers and students need to be implemented. And the last one is conduct quizzes, assessment, and challenge that fuel the competitive nature of students. Humor like challenges because it is one thing that can motivate people to improve their work. The existence of a quiz that proposed to students can provoke students' cognition, especially if by asking the quiz there is a reward that is obtained by a student. This is what makes learning work well. And the second problem that I found is the facilities of the online education system are uneven, especially in remote areas. Since the emergence of COVID-19 in Indonesia in early 2020, all human life and business sectors have continued to be affected, including the education and teaching sector, both in cities and in remote areas. The impact occurred not because of deadly virus, but the impact of government policies on how to respond to calls from the World Health Organization and UNESCO education about the dangers of the virus attacking the health of billions of students. Reduce the burden and backwardness in education due to policy of responding to the spread of COVID-19 by closing schools. Online technical assistance-based education continues to be a leading choice for both school and university levels. Since the technology-based learning program has been going for almost a year, we are called to examine how the effectiveness of technological innovation on student learning during the pandemic crisis has helped to continuation of student learning programs, especially in remote areas of Indonesia. Technically, online innovation-based learning is very different from conventional learning that occurs in schools. Teachers and students don't face-to-face but occur remotely, allowing teachers and students to be in different places with different commitment and skills in the operations of technology. Not to mention that this policy is a bit student to learn with technology even though before COVID-19 appeared, teachers and students in remote areas were not used to it. And some schools seem to forbid students to be carrying gadget tools into the school environment. This matter is also an irony in educational systems and policies in remote areas that are very contradictory to the needs of implementation educators and learning in the era of high technology long before pandemics and other crises occur. How heavy the burden of education was after the pandemic emerged so that all parties must see that technological solutions are still very relevant in solving the problem of learning scarcity when hit by COVID-19. Regarding the distance learning strategy during COVID-19 at the elementary school level in Indonesia has had a tremendous impact, especially for families whose families are social and economically disadvantaged. The shift from face-to-face classroom methods to home-based remote learning systems shows the need to develop teachers' ability to renovate technology into solving learning difficulties. Although the government has taken many steps promptly to support learning from home, as long as COVID-19 remains a major challenge for education. The most acceptable step is still the online way. It turns out that the conditions of learning are related to their capacity to produce something in the future, because through online learning they get the skills they need to be productive. If schools remain closed for a long time without additional measures that to support learning such as allowance for online learning support devices, education disadvantage will be even greater. Those even though online learning activities have not been able to solve learning with results as expected in big cities and remote areas, learning efforts on how to innovate online technology are still very relevant. It's hoped that with technological innovation improve learning, all levels of society, especially in remote areas, can feel equality in this technology-based education. Okay, maybe enough from me. Thanks for your attention, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Lukman Hidayat, name 201740245. I made this video to fulfill the final project for the Sociology of Education course. The COVID-19 pandemic has not only changed the economy, but education has also actively participated in the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic. One of the effect felt in the world of education due to COVID-19 is the learning loss phenomenon. Learning loss itself is a phenomenon in which children or students lose knowledge and skill in general or academical specification, learning loss can occur due to prolonged gaps of the absence of interaction between the teacher as teacher and student as student in the learning process. According to the Secretary General of the Federation of Indonesian Teacher Unions, Heru Purnomo, learning loss is the loss of basic competency that students should learn. Therefore, it can be concluded that learning loss is a concept with ineffectiveness of learning process. The ineffectiveness of the learning process will have an impact of student learning outcome and also on the quality of human resource. Due to the impact of COVID-19 pandemic, this learning loss phenomenon emergence, causing problem in education, including uh, the school environment has changed from offline to online, causing discomfort with change. Uh, and then content of education curriculum that demand the completeness of achievement in special condition problem. And then educational method learning activities that are not maximally applied because of the change from online to offline to from offline to online. And then educational media that do not support carrying out learning activities to the fullest. From the problem about it was obtained that policy of obtained from the government relate to the independent curriculum. One, the content of education curriculum is replaced with an independent curriculum with provides substance to meaningful learning. Uh, Example project-based learning focus on essential material, flexibility of learning hours. And number two, educational media which continues to be improved to support learning activities such as processing a set of computer equipment, Wi-Fi network, and other media. Number three, understanding of the school environment is renewed so that students are formed to able to adapt to the new school environment. Number four, educational method learning activities are more innovative and creative which encourage student interest in learning and thinking process. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, thanks for time. My name is Arum Pramusti. I will explain about teaching problem in post-pandemic era. The COVID-19 pandemic has had a major impact, especially on the world of education in Indonesia. Online learning is a way for learning activities to continue and one of the efforts to break the chain of transmission of COVID-19. The demands of the times are inseparable from the presence of technology, so that educators must be able to master in the field of technology because it is happening and is very important in the digital era. Educators are required to be more creative in finding the right method and not boring, because there are several schools where educators only give assignments but do not get students. Various obstacles are often encountered, especially unstable internet networks, students who are bored because they only see through cell phone or laptop screens, and so on. In the world of education is a new challenge because it applies technology to learning today. Technological advance that are so fast in the world of education lead to an all digital system. At first, educators only taught in the classroom, But now, learning is not bound by space and time, so educators are required to master technology in order to create supporting media and technology-based learning activities. The development of science and technology is one way for educators to improve the quality of learning. The use of technology in the world of education must be utilized by educators, especially the selection of method to be used. TPEC is a learning method that combines technology, knowledge, and learning contents. Technological pedagogical content knowledge, or abbreviated, become TPEC is a theoretical framework that combines technology, pedagogy, and materials in the learning process. Technological pedagogical content knowledge, or TPEC, ability for prospective educators is a very important thing at this time to apply technology to appropriate learning materials and processes students' abilities. But not all educators can use technology in the learning process. Technological pedagogical competence content knowledge, or TPEC, can help teachers to compile learning tools needed. TPEC is important knowledge for the development of teacher professional skills. Because of therefore, the TPEC competency development pattern is a thought which is very much needed to improve the quality of appropriate learning with demands and changes that occur. Implementation of TPEX in learning in the post-pandemic era is the right thing because it can make it easier for students in understanding the learning material developed by educators. Various kinds of media that support the creation of effective learning activities such as Google Form, WhatsApp, idea boards, PowerPoint, audio voice note, YouTube, Zoom meeting, and so on. So that the students who are initially passive because they tend to get bored are now starting to be enthusiastic about learning. Students can express their opinions not only through songs, but simply by expressing them in the available column. Several games are also included in the TPEC method so that students are more comfortable in online learning. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Zaini Masykuri. Name 2017402047. And the next problem is the number of concepts not mastered by students. It is undeniable that the impact of distance learning that students have undergone for 1 and 5 years is that many learning materials are not mastered by students. Why? Because during online learning, students are given reading material by the teacher and then given the assessment. For students who have a high learning spirit, they will try to understand the material themselves. But for students who have weak fighting power and enthusiasm for learning, then they will leave the material without trying to understand to it. This is also felt by the teacher. Many students do not read the material given by the teacher. Not even students like this dominant. As a result, when the face-to-face meeting came, the teacher was surprised to see the condition of student understanding. Finally, the teacher has to work hard because it turns out that there is a lot of material that is not mastered by students. Not infrequently, the teacher has to repeat the material given online because is it the prerequisite material used to understand the next material. So, the solution is that teachers must increase the provision of learning motivation to students, create learning research that are as interesting as possible, and carry out habituation habits that can encourage students' interest in learning the material way too. Thank you very much.